If you've ever fired pottery without a kiln, you know that it can be explosive. But it can also be successful and very rewarding. In this video, I'm going to show you the whole story, successes and failures, of how I fired ancient pottery in my portable grill on a balcony in New York City. I start by lighting a few coals on one side of the grill. This is called the primary fire, and I'll use it to preheat the figurines. The goal is to create a steady heat source to warm up the figurines before the main firing. These clay bull figurines have been sitting out for weeks, and are definitely bone dry by now. But even so, this preheating step is crucial to force those last bits of moisture out of the clay so they don't expand and cause cracks or explosions while firing. Another way to preheat is by putting your pieces in the oven and letting it gradually heat to 400 to 500 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 200 to 260 degrees Celsius, for 30 minutes to an hour. I deemed that too modern for this firing, even though I'm using a modern grill, charcoal, and tools. I admit the line is a bit blurry, but we're preheating the old-fashioned way today. You want to keep turning the pieces around and getting them gradually closer to the fire, making sure to turn them every which way to expose every surface to the heat. I keep moving the two bowls closer and closer to the coals and rotating them to expose every facet to the heat. I'm also taking temperature readings with a handy temperature gun, which incidentally is a lot of fun to use. The numbers grow each time I take a reading, starting around 70 degrees Celsius and reaching more than 250 degrees on the surface facing the coals. I take another reading after at least 30 minutes of preheating and it shows 374 degrees Celsius, more than enough for these figurines to be properly preheated. It's time to get the real firing underway. Trying to copy a Tony Suarez video I saw on YouTube where he charcoal fired a mini pot in an old coffee can, I nestle the bowls inside my grill's charcoal chimney. I add broken pottery sherds around them to protect them from the heat. That's my improvised version of a pit firing or an enclosed updraft chamber. Trying to make sure I hit the right temperature, but that the figurines don't experience heat shock or get fully blackened by the smoky fire, which is an effect I can appreciate in moderation. I throw a fire starter under the chimney to get the bottom coals going, and in a few minutes the red tendrils start licking their way up and out of the chimney. It's at this point that I realize my mistake. Yeah, that explosion was scary. That sharp pop is the last thing you want to hear during a pottery firing, and that bowl is a goner. In hindsight, I now realize that the chimney got way too hot way too fast. The charcoal on the bottom of the chimney immediately lit up red-hot flames under the figurines. While firing, you never want your pottery to be above the fire. In fact, you're trying to build the fire on top of your pieces to keep them out of the licking flames and cozily nestled into the base of the fire. I take this realization and use it to modify the firing plan. First, I'm going to preheat this third bowl by putting it on top of the charcoals. Once that's done, I'm going to place this third bowl figurine on a broken pottery sherd right in the middle of this charcoal and use that as a base for my next fire. Next, I place this tin can on top of the bowl to protect it and start lighting up charcoals all around it. The idea here is to have the bowl reach a higher temperature without actually being exposed to the red-hot tendrils of flame. Now we need to get this can up to temperature. Plan A is to pile up all the charcoal around it and add some more briquettes. They burn hot and use up their lighter fuel quickly, then level out at too low of a temperature for this pottery firing. Plan B is to light up the chimney with some more charcoal, a mix of lump and briquettes. Once they're well lit, I pour them around the can, trying to distribute them evenly on all sides. The temperature is climbing above 500 degrees Celsius, which is the maximum that can be read by my temperature gun. For these ancient animal figurines, the originals were probably low temp fired in a hearth, so we could try to just reach about 500 degrees and call it a day, but I want to test the limits of this firing method. I want to keep making ancient pottery replicas and videos, and living in New York City, I don't have a reliable place where I can go make bonfires. So I'd like to see how high we can get the temperature of this can, ideally up to the 900 degree range, which is the low end of where earthenware pottery can be considered fired. Before kilns, that's about the temperature that most ancient pottery was fired to. To reach that temperature, I'm gonna need more fuel. I start adding in some dried sticks and twigs from my balcony garden. Because my temperature gun maxes out at 500 degrees Celsius, I'm still not sure how hot the can gets. But I decide that's the best we're gonna do today, and leave the whole setup to cool down. And now for the big reveal. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Sure, he's missing a horn, but he's definitely fired, and the color gradient on his back is a nice surprise. You can hear the sound of the fired pottery when I touch the bull's legs, which seem to have fired hotter than its back. This might have arisen from a difference in temperature from the top to the bottom of the can and the piece. I think the can may have trapped some cooler air at the top and could have benefited from some vent holes. To test if this piece would truly withstand the ages, I'm using it as a tea pet, part of the traditional Chinese tea ceremony or gongfu. Tea pets are frequently doused with near boiling water, which will certainly put our piece to the test. As you can see, it stands up to the test remarkably well, meaning our firing was a success. This is the first test of many firings to come, so stay tuned and subscribe to the channel for that. If you learned anything from this video, please give it a like and let me know in the comments what you'd like to see me try next. Thanks for watching, and as always, Free Palestine.